Hello, friends. It was dark and gloomy. The rain poured in torrents. Suddenly, the old woman heard a knock at the door. Who could it be at this hour, she thought. Taking a deep breath, she walked over to the door and opened it. On the other side of the threshold stood a little girl in a drenched raincoat. "Can I help you?" asked the old woman. "Are you lost?" "Child, I'm looking for a house," said the girl. "A house with no windows." The old woman couldn't believe her ears. "You want to live in a house with no windows? Why?" The girl didn't reply. She just stared straight ahead with her head tilted slightly to one side. The old woman felt sorry for the child. "Come inside, child. You can stay here for a while until the rain stops." The girl came in and sat down by the fire. The old woman made her some tea and they sat in silence for a while. Then the girl suddenly spoke. "You don't have any windows either, do you, Granny?" The old woman started. "How did you know?" "I looked behind you," said the girl. "There are no windows in your house, just like there are no windows in my house." The old woman couldn't understand what the girl was playing at. Still, something in her voice and the way she carried herself seemed strangely familiar to the old woman. "Where are your parents, child? Why are you wandering around alone?" The girl went silent. A tear rolled down her cheek and splashed into her tea. The old woman reached out and touched her hair. It was then that she noticed that the girl's hands were very dirty. She took a handkerchief and wiped them gently. As the old woman gazed at the girl, she realized that she wasn't just dirty, she was also very beautiful. It was like there was a light inside her that was trying to break free. The girl suddenly stood up and walked to the windowless room. She looked around her as if memorizing every detail. Then she turned to the old woman and said, "Thank you for everything, Granny. Now I can finally rest in peace." And with that, she disappeared. The old woman couldn't believe what she was seeing. Was it a dream or reality? She still had many questions, but the girl was nowhere to be found. The only thing left behind was an eerie silence. Just then, the old woman saw something strange on the floor. It was a key. The old woman picked it up and examined it curiously. There was something about it that seemed important, yet familiar. Suddenly, she remembered this was the key to the house with no windows. But how did the girl get it, and why did she come here? As the days passed, the old woman couldn't get the girl out of her mind. She thought about her kind eyes, her gentle touch, and the sadness that seemed to follow her like a shadow. The old woman felt a deep sense of responsibility for not being able to help her. One day, the old woman decided to visit the house with no windows. She found it in the same dilapidated condition as before, but something had changed. The old woman could feel the presence of the girl, as if she was still there, waiting to be found. When the old woman opened the door, she saw the girl sitting in a rocking chair. The sight was so unexpected that the old woman gasped in surprise. The girl turned to her and smiled. "You found me," she whispered. The old woman couldn't speak. She was too shocked to find the girl alive. The girl stood up and walked toward the windowless wall. "This is where I live," she said softly. "No one can see me here. I am invisible." The old woman felt a pang of sympathy for the girl. She realized that the girl was trapped in the house with no windows, unable to connect with the outside world. Determined to help, the old woman reached out and touched the cold, hard wall. To her astonishment, she felt a faint pulse beneath her fingertips. With a surge of adrenaline, the old woman pressed her hand against the wall, and it slowly began to move. As the wall opened, revealing a staircase, the old woman couldn't help but smile. She had finally found the key to helping the girl escape the house with no windows. With newfound hope, the old woman extended her hand to the girl. "Come with me," she whispered. "We're leaving this place." The girl hesitated, her eyes filled with uncertainty. However, as she gazed into the old woman's kind eyes, she knew she had nothing to fear. Together, they stepped out of the house and into the bright sunshine. The girl took a deep breath, feeling the warmth of the sun on her skin for the first time in what seemed like forever. As they walked away from the house with no windows, the old woman couldn't shake off the feeling that they were on just helping a lost girl, but perhaps also freeing a part of themselves they never knew they needed to let go of.